and welcome to a cover story conversation with Suhail Seth, marketing maven, brand image guru, political commentator, columnist. And Suhail, welcome back to one of our freewheeling conversations. Today, we're going to, again, as usual, I'm going to get your reactions on the political buzz and, of course, inputs on the political buzz of the day. First of all, we've been speculating about this cabinet reshuffle for a long time. Now the Prime Minister has gone off to Paris, so it looks like that's on hold for a while. Monsoon session is going to start from the 20th. Is there a need for a cabinet reshuffle before he goes in for general elections?
In Modi's cabinet, there is no need for a cabinet. Forget a reshuffle. In the sense, he's pretty much the lone wolf. He's a lone ranger. I don't think the cabinet even matters except for 2 or 3 people within the cabinet. And from what you've seen of Prime Minister Modi's track record, he very rarely shuffles the top deck. And that top deck remains consistent, as I said, because almost everything in policy terms or implementation terms happens between the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office. By and large, the ministers are redundant as far as policy is concerned. They're equally redundant as far as implementation is concerned, because with the processes that Modi has mastered over the years, I think it's more Prime Minister Modi who gets these things done rather than anyone else. Of course, there are exceptions, like Gadkari and Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh, perhaps even Nirmala Sitharaman or Piyush Goyal. But by and large, it's not a government that is dependent on a cabinet reshuffle to either shore it up or to make significant changes in the way we are governed.
So I have a theory on that also. I think if he reshuffles the top deck, then that's an acknowledgement that he has made a mistake or he's put the wrong people in,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why I said he will never, ever change the top deck unless, someone voluntarily resigns or blah, blah, blah. Now, there was a lot of rumors.
There is the Mardarshak Mandal, Suhail.
Yeah, that Mardarshak Mandal is out to pasture, of which one person has even lost the marg, Yashwant Sinha. He's taken a different path. But if you actually look at the top deck, go into history. Even when Arun Jaitley was unwell, Modi wasn't willing to let go. Modi was very clear that, he would remain. So much so that even after the 2019 elections and the results that were announced, at that point in time also, Modi made it abundantly clear to Jaitley that, look, I don't want any change. So Modi is not the kind of person who will agree to a change, because he knows that, look, 90% of the work is going to be driven by him, his vision, and his people. And when I say his people, he's got excellent people in the PMO. Look at PK Mishra, for instance, who's been with him for donkey's years. So these are the people who understand how the wheels of governance are to be set in motion. To my mind, most of those guys in the cabinet are occupiers. They are not doers of a significant kind. You do have people like, Hardeep Puri or Rajiv Chandrasekhar. But by and large, this is not a cabinet that you would know by heart, even from a general knowledge perspective. If I asked you who's the irrigation minister or animal husbandry minister, you wouldn't know, because it doesn't matter, as long as Modi is there.
Correct. No, I get your point. But, at a time when you're facing the electorate is when you want to show your bench strength, which is why they're even out wooing allies. They want to show that it's not a single person centric government.
It's too late.
It's too late for that.
Too late. And I have to tell you, we are a democracy. We are a throbbing democracy, but we are a one-man democracy today, no matter what you say. And to blame Modi for that is unfair. That's how the cookie crumbles. Today, as we have discussed, actually, it was first discussed on your program. Today, even the revival of Rahul Gandhi is in no measure comparable to what Modi is achieving pan-India. Look, let's face it, Modi is unstoppable because of who he is, the way he works, and the way he has created, to my mind at least, a lot of pride in made in India and being Indian. These are very two important aspects. Yes, there is this issue about divisiveness. There is the issue about a stony silence sometimes on very critical national issues like Manipur. But that's his scene. That's his MO. If you remember, when the oxygen concentrators went missing during COVID, He was criticized for those 1 or 2 months. But after that, nothing. And I have to say, which I've said on your program earlier, the overarching management of COVID in India was superb. But for those 2 months when he was being battered every day, he didn't say a word. So you have to understand the man.
He's
He
never
is
the
a
face of the
one-man
bad
army.
news. Sorry.
No, he's not a person. Your viewers are all very literate and very erudite. The finest book on the art of war has been written by Sun Tzu. And Sun Tzu says the most difficult thing that you can do is to do nothing. Now go back again into Indian political history. When Babri Masjid happened and Ayodhya, that whole incident happened in December, Narasimha Rao didn't say a thing. Narasimha Rao, throughout his tenure, remained silent during the most amazing crises that this country faced. So Modi, to my mind, whether he has employed the knowledge from Sun Tzu or it is his own, but do nothing. And trust me, Priya, doing nothing is actually a strategic tool. It is not a tool of laziness or lethargy. Think about it. The most difficult thing to do is to do nothing because you want an opinion to be heard, you want to say something, you want to do something, whether physically, cerebrally, but to do nothing is damn tough. Modi has mastered that. And I'll tell you why. For years, he was vilified in spite of being exonerated by courts of law in this country. It's not that a Fijian court or a Ghana court exonerated him. He kept getting criticized. The only way forward was either you reply to every person who's criticizing you or you just keep quiet, saying, look, the courts have done their job. They've given me the verdict. So who the hell are you? So that's his modus operandi.
Maybe not to allegations against him because those have been, he's been exonerated by the courts, and yet he reacted the way he did to the BBC documentary. So when he wants to, he does react. My point is, Narasimha Rao did not survive the criticism of doing nothing. How come Modi is surviving it?
Because Modi is a hardworking elected politician. Narasimha Rao was a nominee. He was not an elected politician in that sense. A,
A
B.
former chief minister, he had his own credentials.
No, but
Right?
I'm saying to the office of prime minister. See, it's a very tricky thing. I would still rank Dr. Manmohan Singh as one of India's finest prime ministers. But the one criticism that will always stick to him was that he was nominated, not elected. And what I've said on your program, the irony of Manmohan Singh was he was in office, not in power. Sonia Gandhi was in power, but not in office. That mistake is not being made by Modi. A, B. Please recognize that Modi today is in a different era of transparency and opinion making. Manmohan Singh, Narasimha Rao didn't live in the times of instant judgment through social media or opinion rattling or whatever. I totally agree with you, and I've said this publicly, and I will repeat. The biggest problem with the BJP is they react to everything. And sometimes you don't need to react to everything because you give it more ahemiyat, more importance than it deserves. For instance, Barack Obama says something to Christiane Amanpour in an interview. You don't need to react. There's a purani Hindi kahavat, कारवां गुजरता है और कुत्ते भौंकते हैं. The कारवां doesn't stop to, reply to every barking dog. So his thing is that, look, I'm not going to be accountable, but you're right. The response to the BBC documentary was ridiculous, as was the response to the Obama interview, or for that matter, to that lady who asked the question of Mr. Modi in the White House. These are unnecessary distractions. You've got a great visit. You said all that you wanted to say. His response, by the way, to that journalist was superb, to my mind. He took it on head on. And now none of the liberals can say, oh, it was a prepared question.
Right.
Now, after that, why did his people have to be more loyal to the king than the king himself? So my surmise or my belief is, in many cases, Mr. Modi's people second guess his reaction. And before even he makes up his mind, the arrows have been fired. And that is something that is self-destructive.
So the surround sound is actually damaging him more than helping him.
Absolutely. In fact, it started from June 2014. If you remember, June 24 or 25, the girl from Pune, a young girl, topped the CBSE examination. And the Prime Minister, who was barely a month in office, called to congratulate her. But at the same time in Pune, a Muslim boy was lynched when he was riding a motorcycle by 12 or 13 people. And he didn't call the family of that person. That's where narratives change. So while you will admire Narendra Modi for his political acumen and for his ability to surprise, the one thing is that the times of silence, and with all due apologies to Simon and Garfunkel, the sound of silence is not always deafening, but the sound of silence at times is real. And people tend to remember that. कि भाई जब वो हुआ तब तो आपने कुछ नहीं बोला. But as I said, the people they employ, the ministers, the party cadres, they often go out of whack and they talk when they don't have to. And they second guess the prime minister, and it's actually damaging him more than anything else.
Totally agree with you on that. Another thing that is happening, Sohail, is rather what the political buzz is on Madhya Pradesh. We just had Yashwant Deshmukh, see voter, do this survey, which said that Shivraj Singh Chauhan is, Kamal Nath is giving him a very good fight, and he's ahead on a lot of parameters, including that of Hindutva. People see him as being a better custodian of Hindutva than Shivraj Singh Chauhan. After that, there's been a buzz that the CM may be changed, which is why this cabinet reshuffle is also on hold. That's one of the rumors. And Jyotiraditya Scindia could be brought in. What is your take on this?
My belief is, so let's go step by step. Kamal Nath is doing a fantastic job in Madhya Pradesh. How do I know? Because we track for FMCG businesses, we track what we call the pulse of the people, POTP. He's doing a fantastic job. People are very happy with him. And remember, Kamal Nath has more governance experience than all these guys put together, because he was the longest serving parliamentarian until he was in parliament ever. And he's been, a cabinet minister for yonks. So don't discount Kamal Nath. Number one. Number two, Shivraj Singh Chauhan is a good chief minister if you ask people there. But there are fractions as well. The home minister versus the chief minister, blah, blah, blah. Jyotiraditya will be a great choice for two reasons. Number one, in this whole pantheon of people, he's seen as young, youthful, and progressive. Plus, you have to give it to him, in the civil aviation department, he got things done without a murmur, whether it's the disinvestment of Air India, whether it is, creating policies for airports, blah, blah, blah. So he's a doer. I'm a bit wary of only one thing. I don't know if the BJP is ready to pitchfork Jyotiraditya into Madhya Pradesh when they have so many of their old timers already there. Also, I'm a bit fearful of the fact that you have very strong leaders there like Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Narottam Mishra, and I doubt if, Jyotiraditya will be able to make a material difference. The third is, whatever you might say, and Jyotir's splendid track record apart, he still belongs to what they call the dynast and the entitled, which will not work in a state which day after day is seeing atrocities of the worst kind on the Dalits, on the less privileged. So that's the only thing. But on a candidature point of view, Jyotir ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, except I totally agree with you on his governance. He knows how to govern. His administration skills are good. He's doing a good job at civil aviation. But as I said, in terms of what you said also, getting all the factions of the BJP along, and as a mass leader across the state, Kamal Nath has reinvented himself for that. He was not
brilliantly,
but he's managed to do that in the last few years.
In fact, I've known Kamal for ages. I've never seen him work so hard. I've never seen him more focused. You speak to him, he's always in Bhopal or he's always touring the state, and he's very serious about it. Even when he went 3 days ago to the governor to complain about, the unwillingness or the lethargy on the part of the state government to address the issue of atrocities on Dalits, he was very, very clear. And, you made a very interesting reference to his Hindutva. Please remember that Kamal Nath did more for Hindutva in a manner of speaking from optics. The biggest or the tallest Hanuman statue, if I'm not wrong, was built by him.
It's in his constituency.
Yeah, it's in Chindwara. Plus, in many ways, like Sharad Pawar has nurtured and did and continues to nurture Baramati, Chindwara is like an oasis of excellence. So people have seen that when this man is put in power, he delivers. So see, ultimately, I've said this before with you, the country has started behaving in a very pragmatic and practical manner. For the Lok Sabha, it'll be Modi. For the state, it'll be जो सबसे बेहतर आदमी या इंसान है. Which is why you may disregard her, you may not like her appeasement politics, but Mamata Banerjee came back to power. And it's not important what your seat share is, vote share is. Ultimately, chief minister कौन बनता है? वो तो ममता ही बन गई ना. In spite of all the hullabaloo, all the taunting, all the money that was spent by the BJP. So I'm saying don't discount Kamal. Plus, there is also an underlying factor which is related to fatigue. And having said that, it'll happen in Maharashtra. People will not forget the Doglapan. People will not forget this switching. See, right now, look at the irony of our democracy. Priya Sahgal elects person X for a particular task. That person says, to hell with you and hell with the ideology that Priya Sahgal has elected me for. I'm now going to move my ideology and my entire cerebral baggage to another party. Where does that leave the electorate? What does the electorate say? कि भाई मैंने तो आपको एक काम के लिए चुना था, आपने उस काम को छोड़ के कोई और चुनौती ले ली.
Right.
Real problem.
But within the NCP, so I mean, Praful Patel has gone on record to say that, and Ajit Pawar also, that this was something Sharad Pawar had been toying with. Sharad Pawar is known to play both sides, though, whether he would actually outrightly ally with the BJP or not is something, maybe it's his daughter who stopped him from doing it. How do you see Pawar's politics from here on?
I'll be honest. Almost 2 or 3 players I've known with a great deal of affection, whether it's Praful or Sharadji or Supriya. For me, it is a dichotomous situation. Prima facie, it is a betrayal. A betrayal in the sense that you never imagined that someone like Praful would break away. But then you go by logic and then ask yourself, why did he? Okay, why did he break away? And that answer only Praful Patel can give. Now, Praful has rightly said or wrongly said that, look, I went because, our workers wanted power. You're not elected to come to power. You're elected to work. So the power bit can come later. But having said that, I don't know the machinations that went through, but everyone has lost. All said and done, these were people, and they, to be fair to Praful and to Ajit Pawar, they have said it also on record. These were people Sharad Pawar created. This was, see, NCP was, as Supriya Sule said, was and will remain to a large part a family. When a family splits this way, it's fine. My biggest objection was when Ajit Pawar used the age bit, saying, yes, how long will he continue? Forget the logic. You don't say that. It's like asking your dad, how long will you live? Or asking your mother, bhai, ab kitne der aap jiyoge? There is something called tehzeeb and there is something called affection. Sometimes you don't give up these two things just because you want to be the deputy chief minister or chief minister, whatever the hell you want to be. So that's number one. Number two, the biggest loser in this will be Eknath Shinde, mark my words. See, the BJP is not a party that is held to ransom. Eknath Shinde's arrival on the scene was ransom-like. Yes, Eknath Shinde, I'm splitting the Sena and I'm coming with X number of people. But BJP is not a party which tolerates ransom bearing for a long, long time. So they will find a mechanism, which they have in Ajit and in Ajit Pawar's breakaway group. They will find a mechanism to put more than one egg in one basket. So, which is why your question in your opening remarks about allies, they are not wooing allies because they like them. It's very much like what Brutus told Mark Antony. Mark Antony asked Brutus, why did you stab Caesar? He says, it's not that I loved Caesar less, but I loved Rome more. And you have to understand political contextuality, even in this case, from that perspective.
I want to come back with you and get the perspective right, because I think at the end of the day, whether Modi is looking for allies because he loves India more or he just loves being in power and ruling India more is something I'm going to ask Suhail after a quick break. Hello and welcome back to a cover story conversation with Suhail Seth. So Modi looking for allies, BJP looking for allies. He doesn't like allies. You said at first he, is a one-man show. He clearly feels there is a need, to put all his more than one egg in the basket, or whichever imagery you want to take.
Everything that Modi does is strategic and it's with a purpose. Modi is not emotional. When Jaitley was alive, he used to love the Badals. He used to love Prakash Singh Badalji and, Sukhbir and all. They were like, he was very fond of them. Modi has no emotional baggage and he's not carrying any emotional links. So if he is reaching out to the Shiromani Akali Dal, it is with a very clear view to garner a much bigger base. The many people that I speak to about Punjab, no matter what we might say and the fun that we might have at their expense, a lot of people are saying Man is doing a good job. A lot of people are saying Aam Aadmi Party is actually engaged with the idea of progressing the virtues of Punjab. So while we in Delhi may say, he's a happy ass chief minister, or he's a doddering comic, but the reality is people are happy with him. And now the vicious people might say, oh, media doesn't say anything, but they're applied with advertising. But the tragedy is you have to give the man his due. So there is the overhang of the Aam Aadmi Party. And I've said this on your program before. While the Congress will take time to reinvent itself, or the reinvention of Rahul, Aam Aadmi Party is a true challenger if you look at it from a political perspective to Modi. Modi needs to win 3 states desperately in the Lok Sabha. Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and
Chhattisgarh.
Punjab is very important. And it's also important for Modi's geopolitical agenda because it's a border state. Having said that, he believes that the BJP does not, and it's true, BJP does not have the local firepower that, let's say, an addition by these people could get him. So it's a very clear tactical move. It's not a move that is designed with anything else except tactics. So when you are analyzing it in that sense, and when you're saying that, look, what is Modi going to achieve? The question you have to ask yourself is, wait, forget what will he achieve. What will Shiromani Akali Dal achieve? Now, please remember, when you're out of power, you're also out of money. You cannot win a state like Punjab or any state today without money. If you go back into the history of Punjab state elections and go back, say, three or four last elections, look at the amount of money power that was used. And again, see the irony of family politics. No one imagined that BJP would tie up again with Shiromani Akali Dal. Manpreet Badal, who was under Amrinder in the Congress, moved to the BJP along with Amrinder. Amrinder, who hated Sukhbir by and large and actually launched a huge offensive against Harsimrat's brother Bikram. It is strange. I always say politics is about sleeping with the elephant, but it's dangerous. You never know when the elephant turns over and the pleasure turns into pain.
We're going to watch this space, but we still have a little bit of time. So, Suhail, I want to go back to one of your earlier comments where you had said Manmohan Singh was one of the finer prime ministers. Whom, in India, we've seen that we like strong leaders. We like dictators. Indira Gandhi does well, Narendra Modi does well. But when it comes to economic reforms, it's the coalition government that always delivers more than these strong one-party mandates.
Because also remember, I won't use the word dictator, but I would use the word strong. I totally agree with you. See, when you're alone and when you're strong, you also believe you can do no wrong. That's human nature. go back into human history, read a beautiful book called Plutarch's Lives, on the basis of which Shakespearean's political plays were based, you will see that very strong leaders will commit almost near fatal mistakes. Consensus doesn't allow you to commit mistakes of a mammoth order. Now, can you imagine if Vajpayee was alive today and there was an alliance? Do you think demonetization would have ever happened? No. GST would it have happened? No. Do you think CAA would have happened? Uniform Civil Code ka to sawal hi nahi uthta. Strong leaders can work in two ways. One is they will deliver what they have promised to deliver. And to be fair to Modi and the BJP, they have not delivered on anything that they've said in the manifesto. It's another matter that people in our country don't read the manifesto. They said in the manifesto that Article 370 abrogate karenge. They've done it. They talked about CAA. They talked about GST. Now, you can't blame them for sticking to the promises they've made to the people, regardless whether you read the manifesto or not. I think what Manmohan Singh did and will be remembered for, there was a lot of dignity and decency to the office. And it's a flip. It's a Shakespearean flip. In his case, the good will be remembered and the evil will be buried. When you talk of Manmohan Singh, you talk about the two Ds. You talk about decency and you talk about dignity. You never talk about scams. You don't remember the telecom scam. You don't remember all these things because his decency and dignity was overpowering. Also remember, as you very rightly said about the economic issue, he was India's finance minister who delivered liberalization to India. No matter it was at the point of a gun, but he delivered it. And go back to his first budget speech where people were riling him. And he says, Aapne jo karna hai karo, I will walk on this path.
An idea whose time has come.
Yeah, he will be remembered. And as he should be. Modi will be remembered.
Right.
But the worry about legacy building is you never know where it goes. Can you imagine if you were Jawaharlal Nehru and you were lying in your grave, would you have imagined the kind of pillaring criticism that you're facing today? You wouldn't have imagined.
Well said.
Legacy is a double-edged sword.
On that last word, thank you so much, Sohail Seth, for bringing yourself and Shakespeare and Plutarch to this conversation. Thank you so much and hope to do more conversations with you soon. Thanks.
Done. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.